Okay, we're on Daf Pe Bet 82, and we have three subjects tonight. First, a little bit more about bathroom hygiene, in case we didn't get enough yesterday. And then we're going to be talking about pot shards, and that will complete the Perek, the eighth Perek of Shabbat. And midway through, we will start the ninth Perek, which will be some interesting laws about Avodah Zarah and their impurity. So we start where we left off with a story about Rav Chisda and Rabba Bar Rav Huna, who were saved from witchcraft. They were on a boat, and there was this lady who was upset at them, and she was casting spells on the boat to stop it, and they countered with more powerful spells, and this lady said she has no power over these two sages because they, among two other reasons, they're very careful in their cleanliness in the bathroom, and so therefore the witchcraft cannot affect them. These two sages were Rav Chisda and Rabba Bar Rav Huna. So if you remember those names, Rav Chisda and Rabba, the son of Rav Huna. Rav Chisda and Rav Huna were colleagues, so Rabba is Rav Huna's son. So we pick up on a story about them. Amar le Rav Huna le Rabba bere. Rav Huna is speaking to his son and tells his son, "My ta'ama la shechichat kamed Rav Chisda demechadedan shema'ateh." He tells his son, "Why aren't you going to study with Rav Chisda? Because his teachings are very sharp. You want to spend time studying with him." The son, Rabba, says, "Amar le my ezil legabe. Why should I go study with him? Ki azel ne legabe." Whenever I go and listen to a class of his, he's talking about secular matters. Amarli, for example, he says, "Man If when you go to the bathroom, you should not sit down immediately, and you should not sit down too hard. You shouldn't exert yourself." Adilma mishtamta shine de karkashta vate de sakana, and that's because that you'll displace the what they call teeth here, the muscles that are controlling that area, and you may dislocate them, and that will be very dangerous for you. I mean, I think nowadays we would call this hemorrhoids. אמר לה, הוא עסיק בחיי דברייתה, ואת אמרת במילי דעלמא, כל שכן זיל גבה. So after this report, the father, Rav Huna, says, "Oh, you think this is unimportant material? He's talking about life and death advice. So therefore, health, you see, is part of Torah as well. It's extremely the most important part, and therefore all the more so you should go and study from him. Don't think this is mundane matters. These two are holy matters." So that's a fantastic source for learning about health and following matters of health. It's not separate from Torah, but very much part and even an ideal within the Torah. So apparently, I would say this story happened before the previous story, and he probably did go and study with him. And so that's why in this story, it's Rabba, the son of Rav Huna, and Rav Chisda, they're together on the ship, so they are together, and they're saved because they are both careful regarding these matters. So obviously, Rabba did learn the lessons well from his teacher, Rav Chisda. Okay, another couple of paragraphs on the subject. Hayu lefanav seror vecheres. Rav Huna amar mekaneach baseror ve'en mekaneach bacheres. Rav Chisda amar mekaneach bacheres ve'en mekaneach baseror. Seems to be talking about on Shabbat, if you relieve yourself and then you have in front of you a stone and a piece of and a pot shard. Which is the better one to use? Rav Huna says one should use the stone because it's safer. If you use the pot shard, it may be sharp and you may cut yourself, and that wouldn't be good. Rav Chisda, however, says better to use the pot shard because the pot shard is not mukseh. Pot shard has some uses. We'll see various uses for it, whereas the stone is mukseh. Now, it's true if you have nothing else around, you can use the stone because we can violate mukseh for kavod beriyot, for human dignity, so that you should be clean. But if you have a choice, take a little bit of health risk and use the potsherd. Okay, interestingly, it's Rav Huna and Rav Chisda, the two people we saw before, the father and his colleague Rav Chisda. And you see, even though they're arguing about this issue, Rav Huna before said, go study with Rav Chisda, he's a great expert, especially regarding sharp things. Okay, so he still respected his teachings, even though he did disagree. That's a good lesson by itself. Metibe, now we have a question from a Baraita challenging Rav Huna. Hayu lefanav seror v'cheretz, mekaneach b'cheretz v'mekaneach b'seror tiyugta. That Rav Huna, we see explicitly said that if you have a stone and a potsherd, you should use the potsherd. That's what Rav Chisda says, and this rejects Rav Huna. But we don't end it there. Perhaps at an earlier stage that was a rejection, but luckily Tidgema Rav Ram bar Papa kamed Rav Chisda alibad Rav Huna ve'ognei chelim. Rav Ram was teaching in front of Rav Chisda, and he was speaking about Rav Huna's teaching and said, oh, I can understand it regarding the rims of vessels. That's also a potsherd, but it's a smooth part. And so you don't have to worry about cutting yourself. And so then that way it is still safe. Okay. Now, next line. Another dilemma. If you had a stone and grass. I would assume this is not talking about Shabbat, because the laws here have nothing to do with Shabbat. But just which one is safer? One says a rock is safer. Grass might be pointy and might lead to cutting yourself. No, opposite. Sometimes a rock might be pointy and a grass is soft. So we have two opinions. We don't know who said which. We just know one and one. We have a baraita that one should not wipe himself with something flammable, because if so, those muscles there that are called teeth will loosen. Why if something flammable? I don't know if it's a superstitious thing, or perhaps some idea that something is flammable will cause a rash or cause it to get inflamed. But in any case, one should not use something flammable. Rocks are okay. Grass is flammable. So we have a question about that opinion. No, the one that says it's allowed is talking about moist grass, and that's soft and it'll be fine and is also not flammable. And the other one that says in this baraita is talking about dry grass, and that is flammable and also is sharp, and so it should not be used. If someone needs to go and they hold it in and don't go. One says the person will have bad breath. Another person says the person will be generally smelly from perspiration. Tanya, we have a baraita backing up the one that says they'll be in general will smell bad. The Tanya hanisrachlin kevav ve'ochel dome letanur she'esikuhu al gabe efro ve'zohi techilat ruach zohama. Someone who needs to go and he doesn't go, instead eats. So this is similar to someone who uses an oven without cleaning out the old ashes and just puts new coal and puts it on top. And if you do that, you're gonna, all the stink from the previous thing that you cooked is still going to be there, and it's going to smell up the whole thing. And so too, you got to empty out your system before you take in new food. Otherwise, you in general will smell not only the bad breath, but the whole body.
So you're translating ruach ra'ah and ruach zuhama as physical odors. Does generally use ruach ra'ah as a physical odor, or is it more of an evil spirit?
I see. Yeah, they do translate here as evil spirit, but I don't think it needs to be translated that way. Yeah.
Maybe both.
Okay. I can look up later what other. It could be both, but I don't know if it's. It seems to be that it was like a specifically bad mouth odor. In other words, like digestive system. Is it coming out of the mouth or the whole body?
Right. It does make sense to be more of a bad smell. If maybe having a bad smell means that you're gonna have a like a negative vibe. And that's like a ruach, I don't know. Just,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can look a second, and yeah, Rashi seems to think it is bad breath. רוח רעה, ריח הפה, that's Rashi. שהזבל מרכב במעיים ויוצא ריח דרך פיו. It's bad breath because the garbage rots inside one's intestines, and from that, bad odor will come.
And he was contemporary with this?
Rashi?
Yeah.
Was not contemporary with it, no, but neither are you.
I want to see the other sources that they bring and say ruach ra'ah. What is it talking about?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. So that's a good way we can look after. We could do a search for ruach ra'ah and what it means everywhere. All right. Very good. And now another statement about these people. This one was about someone who doesn't go. This one's about someone who can't go. He is constipated. What's good advice for him? Amar Rav Chisda, we have 4 pieces of advice. None of them involve Miralax. Yaakov Yamod v'yeshev. He should do squats, up and down. It'll move everything around and get it out. Rav Hanan ben Amar Yistalek listadin. Go somewhere else. Try a different spot. Right? Go to a different bathroom. Maybe just by moving around, that will help. Different surroundings. Rav Hamnuna Amar Yemashmesh Bisrod Be'oto Makom. Massage the area with a stone. Rabbanan Amre Yasiach Da'ato. Think about something else. Sometimes the stress about it, is gonna make you tight, and so distract yourself. Amar Rav Acha Rav Ashe Kol Sheken Dechi Masach Da'ate La Mefaneh. That's bad advice. If you're thinking about something else, then for sure you're not gonna be able to go. You have to be thinking about, right? You have to be concentrating. He means don't keep your mind away from other matters. Focus only on trying to relieve yourself. Amar Rav Yirmiyah midifti ledidi chazi liahu ta'aya tekam v'yatev v'kam v'yatev ad ishvach kik kedera. And so Rav Yirmiyah is supporting the first opinion, doing squats, and he says, I saw an Arab, and he did that, and he was able to pour himself out like a pot. So that's the way to go. Tanu Rabbanan. They have great imagery, don't they? Hanichnas le'seudat keba. Yahalech 10 פעמים של 4 אמות. והמלילה 4 פעמים של 10 אמות. You're going to a big meal, an official meal, and you don't want to have to interrupt your meal to go find the bathroom. It might take hours, and you want to make sure that you're clean beforehand. So what you should do is do 10 laps of 4 amot each, or 4 laps of 10 amot each. Walk around, and that pacing will get your system going, and then you can relieve yourself, and then sit at the dinner table, and you can enjoy your meal uninterrupted. All right, so that's the end of the hygienic advice, and now we go to the final Mishnah of the Perek. Cheres kedei liten ben pasim lachavero divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Just in earth, we talked about potsherds already. What's the smallest potsherd? It's amazing how they reuse everything. You have a pot, it broke, you don't just throw it out. Save those pieces. They're good for something. What's the smallest piece of pot that is useful for something, and therefore, if you carry it, would be liable? Rabbi Yehuda says, a little piece, if you have boards of wood stacked upon each other, you put pot shards in between so that they don't warp. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir Omer, kedei lachtot bo et ha'ur. You can use it to stoke the coals. You pick up the coals with it. So it's got to be a little bit long so you don't burn yourself. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, kedei lekabel bo revi'it, has to hold 3 ounces of water. So that seems like it's going from smallest to biggest. And it makes sense. Rabbi Yehuda, we always remember he always has the smallest. He's the one with the shoestring, the string to measure a shoe size. And it would seem to me that Rabbi Meir is between, and Rabbi Yosef is the biggest. But the Talmud is going to discuss this. Amar Rabbi Meir, lo yimaseh b'mchitato cheres lachtot esh mi yakud. He says, I don't have a proof, meaning I don't have a pasuk from the Torah, but I have a hint because it's from Nevi'im. In the pasuk from Yeshaya, which I will show you here, says God is going to bring punishment, and he's going to smash the wall of the city, right? This high wall. And Ushbara kesheber nebel yoserim katut lo yachmol, smash it like an earthen jug, ruthlessly shattered. It's going to be so smashed. Ve'lo yimaseh b'mchitato cheres lachtot esh miyakud. There won't be found among the ruins even a potsherd big enough to scoop coals from the oven. That's how smashed it will be, not even enough to stoke the coals. So, this is a good proof for Rabbi Meir, because, right, it's talking about stoking the coals. Here's the thing, if you keep reading the rest of the pasuk, it says, and there also won't be a potsherd big enough to even scoop a little bit of water from a puddle. That was the next opinion, and which is exactly what Rabbi Yosef said. You bring a pasuk from that you bring a source from that pasuk in Yeshaya. Look at the rest of the pasuk, and to scoop up some water from a cistern. So that's what I'm talking about. So actually, the proof that you brought is better for me. So you should agree with me. Okay, Talmud will discuss that also. It's a good example of parallelism, by the way. A question was asked. Shiura de Rabbi Meir nafesh, or Shiura de Rabbi Yosef nafesh? Which one is bigger? Rabbi Meir, who said to stoke the coals, or Rabbi Yosef, who said a potsherd to pick up some water? Mistabera Shiura de Rabbi Yosef nafesh. It would seem to make sense that the amount that Rabbi Yosef said is bigger. It makes sense because you have to scoop up some water. It has to be a bowl, and so that would, according to reason, that would be more. However, umikera shiura Rabbi Meir nafesh. But according to the pasuk, it looks like Rabbi Meir would be bigger. Then the parallelism doesn't make sense. Would you curse the people with a small thing and then go and curse them with a big thing? In other words, if you're looking here, the curses should get worse and worse as it goes on, right? It makes sense if you say there won't be found a potsherd not big enough to stoke a fire, and not even big enough to pick up water. So that means the one for picking up water is even smaller. That's how smashed it will be, right? Other way around, there won't be, if this one is bigger, there won't be a potsherd to stoke a fire. Well, obviously, if that's the bigger size, there won't be enough so to pick up water, and so that would kind of lose the whole point. So what you see here is the Talmud already knew Alter and Kugel, right, and knew that there's step-up parallelism, that the second half has to always be greater than the first half. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, they should have read this Talmud, then they wouldn't have had to figure out who said it first. Okay. So that seems to be a good proof. Here we are. Okay. No, it's a Talmud. Yeah, here. No, I can understand it. I can explain it, in fact, this way. That is talking about not just a little, to stoke a little fire, but to stoke a bonfire, a big flame. And so that piece of cheres would be big, and therefore this one would be small. So even according to Sevara, this way would make sense. Okay. Rabbi Yosef omer misham re'aya. Now about this, the rest of this pasuk. Shapir kama le Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Meir. Actually, seems that Rabbi Yosef has a good point. Look at the rest of the pasuk, and that would be the smallest one. Rabbi Meir la mebaya ka'amar. למה בעיה מידי דחשיב להינשא דלה להשתכח לה, אלא אפילו מידי דלה חשיב להינשא לה להשתכח לה. Rabbi Meir can also explain the pasuk as step-up parallelism, and the last one is in fact smaller, but his point is that the last one is not considered a use that's useful enough for people. So the pasuk would read like this: you will not find, I'm sorry, it is bigger, but the step-up parallelism works in a different way. You will not find something useful like a piece that would stoke a coal, right? And you will not even find something that's less useful, which would be to pick up water, right? Because you can find lots of things to pick up water, but this is, and so picking up water, he thinks, is not even a good shi'ur at all, and so you can carry that amount without worrying. And so you see that the step-up parallelism can go in a different sense, and that's how he can explain the pasuk. Hadran alach hamosi yayin. Congratulations for completing the 8th perek of Masechet Shabbat. And we'll go right into the 9th perek. And here we just have a Mishnah and 2 paragraph arguments. It gets a little bit technical, but it's pretty straightforward. Mishnah states, Amar Rabbi Akiva, minayin la'avodah zara shemitamea b'masa kanida, שנאמר, תזרם כמו דבר, זה תאמר לו, מה נידה מטמאה במסע? אף עבודה זרה מטמאה במסע. Now this has nothing to do with the laws of Shabbat, but since in the last Mishnah we talked about deriving something from a pasuk in the Navi as a remez, so now the first half of this whole perek will be other things that the Tanaim derived from things from Pesukim and Nevi'im. Although the Mishnah generally does not provide Pesukim, but here's a little section of hints in the Tanakh to various laws. And so this one is about Avodah Zarah. If you have an object of Avodah Zarah, let's say a piece of a pagan temple, a rock from a pagan temple, like you might find in some museums. What is the status of it? Rabbi Akiva says it's tameh. Anything that touches it will become tameh. Not only anything that touches it, anyone who carries it, like a nida. How do you know? Because the pasuk in Yeshaya says you should destroy them or scatter them like a dava, which is a word for nida. Se tomar lo, you should tell it, get out. Just like a nida is tameh if you carry, let's say menstrual blood, then anyone who, even if you don't touch it, just carrying it, let's say, on top of a tray, would also make that person tameh. So to avodah zarah, anyone who carries it is tameh. Okay, before we go on, a small, short intro into some laws of nida. Here are 3 levels of nida. Sheretz means 8 different types of creepy crawlies. When they are dead, they cause tum'ah.
You said
what?
Of nida. Is it of nida or of tum'ah?
Of here, of tum'ah.
Oh, you're going to introduce the law.
Some three different levels of tum'ah. Sorry, three different levels of tum'ah. Sheretz, like a dead mouse, will be tameh only by touching it. Okay, but if I take tongs, if I carry it, if I'm not touching it, even if I'm handling it, it's okay. I'm not tameh only by direct touching. That's the lowest level. And nevela, which is a carcass of an animal that was not slaughtered properly, that will become tameh by touching it, or also by carrying it, even if I'm not touching it. And nida has both of those, touching and carrying, and also a third one that's a little bit of a strange case. This would be a case where I have a heavy stone, right? Let's say a very heavy stone, and it's supported on a tripod of sorts, okay? And now under it is a couch. So I have this heavy stone supported by tripods. Let's say it's like some kind of fancy artwork in a building, and a couch underneath. A nidah comes and sits on top of this. Now, generally, anything a nidah sits on becomes tameh. That's sitting tumah. We're not talking about that right now. But here is a different kind. By sitting on the rock on top, even though the weight is not actually on the couch, it transfers through, and it's as if she's on the couch. this is the tumah of a heavy stone. That's the case. Okay, so nida causes something to be tameh through touching, carrying, and even the heavy stone. We'll see a little bit about limbs. This is a bit gory, sorry. But the limb of a nida, if it's severed, does not cause tum'ah of nida. It would be tum'at met, but not tum'at nida. All right, but that's going to come in, so we need to know that. So that's the 3 levels. All right, so what Rabbi Akiva said here is that avodah zarah is masa like nida, which masa means carrying, and which is like nida. Now we're going to have to ask, does he mean also heavy stone? Because nida is also like heavy stone, so is it exactly like nida, or is it a little bit like nida? That's what the Talmud is going to be spending a lot of time on this analogy. Before we get to that analogy, we're going to quote the full Mishnah. This Mishnah here in Shabbat is a quotation of a fuller Mishnah in Masechet Avodah Zarah. You see, obviously, Avodah Zarah was the original place of it, and then the editor of the Mishnah says, oh, you mentioned that Remez, I want to bring a couple more things, and only quotes a snippet of that Mishnah. So here's the full Mishnah in Avodah Zarah. Tenanatam, Misha Yabeto Samuch le'Avodah Zarah, Venafal, Asur livnoto, Kesad Yaseh, Kones letoch leshelo 400 uboneh. Let's say you had a house, okay? I owned my house for a long time, and then a few years later, some non-Jew comes, buys the house next door, and we share a wall in between. And that person builds a pagan temple using our shared wall. Now, I'm still allowed to live there because I get there first. That's okay. But let's say one day my house gets old and it falls down. Except that wall stays up. The shared wall stays up, but the other 3 walls fall down. So if someone's home was adjacent to a pagan and idolatrous temple and it fell down, I cannot rebuild my home in the same spot because I can't use that wall. It's a shared, even though I was there first, now it's a shared wall. I can't benefit from the wall of Avodah Zarah, right? It's no good. So what do I have to do instead? I have to leave that wall, move 4 amot away, because I have to be outside the whole range, the area of the idolatry, and then I build a new wall 4 amot away. That's what I have to do to keep away, literally keep away from Avodah Zarah. Now, what if hayashelo v'shel avodah zarah nidon mechesa mechesa? The walls in those days could be quite thick, and so what if I actually own half the wall? In other words, the land under the wall. Let's say it's 2 feet wide, and I own a foot into the wall. Well, in that case, we can split it down the middle. The first foot of the wall counts towards the 4 amot. So I only have to go 4 amot from the middle of the wall, which can save some space if it's a very thick wall. All right, that's the Mishnah, beginning of the Mishnah. Mishnah continues. That part was not relevant. Avana ve'aisa ve'afarav metameim kesheretz shene'emar shakes teshakesenu. This is the Tanakama, what we'll call Rabbanan, right? The majority opinion Rabbanan here say if that shared wall should break or fall down, or just a piece of it falls off, it's stones, the wood that's inside, the dirt that's there are all tameh like a sheretz. So if you say like a sheretz, a face value, that would seem to me only by touching. Only if you touch that rock that comes from the wall, one is tameh. How do we know? Because the pasuk in Devarim is talking about avodah zarah and says shakes teshakesenu, right? And that's the same word as used by sheretz. Okay. Rabbi Akiva, however, is more machmir, and he says no. Those building material that falls off when it's attached to the wall, it's okay because anything, remember, attached to the ground is tahor. But when it breaks off, it's tameh like a nida. Shene emad pasuk in Yeshayahu that we got, right? We're just talking about tizerem kemo dava ma'ad nida metameh b'masa af avodah zarah metameh b'masa. So no, it's like a nida, and just like a nida can make something tameh not only by touching but also by carrying. So too, avodah zarah, idolatrous stones, can make something also by touching and by carrying. Now, what about heavy stone? Is that included or not
included? By
sitting
also.
Now we're going to see 2 opinions. What?
And by sitting on it also.
No, we're not. Yeah, we're not talking about sitting on it. We're not. Yeah, nobody thinks it's by sitting on it. Right?
The nida, no.
A zav is by sitting on, and the da also is by sitting on, but they're not making that comparison here.
Okay.
Okay.
Would that
Amar
be a
Rabba,
reference? Sorry. Go ahead. Never mind.
Amar Rabba, tizerem, the Amar Kera, Nochrin huminach kezar. So Rabba is explaining this pasuk as two parts. So when it says you should scatter them, send them away, it says you should make it nechar. Nechar means it should be a foreigner to you, like a zad, like a foreigner. Go away. Se tomar lo, hikanes al tomar lo. You should tell the idolatry to get out, and you should not invite it in. Okay, it's explaining the doubling in the pasuk. Perhaps that's a step up, make it like a zad and more actively, send it away. Okay, that's one thing he said. And now here's the main thing. Amar Rabba, b'masa tikule alma la pelige demitamea dahitkash lenida ki pelige be'eben mesama. Everybody agrees. Both Rabbanan and Rabbi Akiva agree that an idolatrous dirt makes something tameh by carrying, because after all, there is a pasuk here in Yeshaya, and although it's quoted by Rabbi Akiva, the pasuk exists, and everybody has to deal with it. So Rabbanan also will have to admit that it's like a nida, and so therefore by touching and carrying. What do they disagree about, Rabbanan and Rabbi Akiva? They disagree about the heavy stone. Rabbi Akiva sabar kenida, ma nida mitama be'eben misama, afavodah zara mitame be'eben misama. Says it's exactly like nida, just like nida, all three. So too, idolatrous stones, all three. Okay, that's exactly what he says, taking him literally at his word. Kan nida. But Rabbanan sabre kesheretz. Ma sheretz lo metame be'eben masa. Af avodah zara lo metame be'eben masa. He said it's like a sheretz and compared it to the pasuk in Devarim, and that does not include the heavy stone. Okay, now we're going to ask the obvious question. What is each going to do with the other pasuk? They can't just deny the pasuk. So why did the pasuk in Devarim compare nida to sheretz? If you just compare avodah zarah to sheretz. If you just said it's like nida for all things, so what's the point of comparing it to a sheretz, which is even less? The answer is to the service items, not the idol itself, but the frying pan that you use for incense or other things that you put near it, adornments. Those things will become tameh, like a sheretz, only through touching. The idol itself becomes tameh in all these ways. Apparently, the building is is part of the idol itself. Okay, but I said that because that's what we're talking about, Avana ve'etzav. Unless it's talking about Avana ve'etzav of the idol. But the context here is it's talking about a wall, so I think it's about the building. Okay, so anyway, this is, so Rabbanan, Rabbi Akiva, what does he do with the pasuk? He says, okay, Rabbi Akiva could deal with both pasukim. Nida, the idolatry is like nida in all ways. And the service items are like sheretz, only by touching. And how about Rabbanan? So why are you comparing it? You just said it's like a sheretz. In what way is it like a nida? Limasa, in terms of carrying. So, right, it's like nida in touching and carrying, but not the heavy stone. Okay. And so that's why it's compared to sheretz, because it is like sheretz in one sense. That's only touch. It's not the same as nida. It's somewhere between sheretz and nida. So that's why he compares it to both and says it's somewhere in the middle. Okay. Hold on. If that's what it's about, you should have used nebelah, because nebelah is the exact thing. Nebelah is touching and carrying, but not suspended stone. So wouldn't that be a lot clearer to say that avodah zarah is like nebelah? You're right. It should have said it's like a nebelah. Ella manida enal ebarin af avodah zarah enal ebarin. But it compared it to nida to teach you is something else. That's just like a nida. The severed limbs are not tameh. So too with idolatry. Whenever we go to museums and we see idols, they all have no arms and legs. And so in the Renaissance, sculptors thought they were made without arms and legs, and so they made new ones without arms and legs. But obviously, in ancient times, all these Greek and Roman statues had arms and legs. Stephen Wright says there's another museum with all the arms and legs. There isn't. That was just a joke, right? The point is that they fall off. So those arms and legs of the idol statues that fall off, what is their status? It's not the it's the same as a nida. Those the arm of a broken statue is not tameh. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. We know that Rab Chama once asked this question: idol arms, limbs, are they tameh or not? And we didn't know the answer. And if we knew this, we could have had the answer, because you just said that according to Rabbanan, they're okay. Tifshot leil the Rabbanan and ele barin. But so there must be something wrong, because we didn't answer that before, and so we could have answered it if all this was true. Oh, Rabbas could answer. No, we can sustain it. He knew that according to the rabbis, the limbs of idols are okay. He was asking the question according to the Rabbi Akiba, and Rabbi Akiba, he used the Pesukim all for good uses, and so for him, we don't know what he would have said. So to summarize, this is all the Rabbah's interpretation. According to him, the majority opinion of Rabbanan up here, who compare it to Sheretz and use the Pasuk in Devarim, they would say the items from the wall are tameh by touching and carrying, but not by suspended stone. And the service items are tahor. And also the limbs are okay. We could add to that, right? And so it's compared to sheretz in that touching. It's compared to nida in that carrying, right? So that's both. That's like both. It's compared to something in between, not nevela, but a little bit more like sheretz in that you don't do the suspended stone. And the service items are okay. We learn, right? We don't need a pasuk for that. We don't worry about service items. No one ever said that they're tameh. Rabbi Akiva, on the other hand, says it's exactly like nida, and so the items from a wall are tameh by touching, carrying, and suspended stone, exactly like nida. And what about the comparison to sheretz and pasuk devarim? Oh, that's talking about service items. Those are like sheretz, and so keep away from them. All right, so we dealt with all the pasukim according to Rabbah, but Rabbi Elazar has a different opinion, a different way of putting them together. And he says as follows. So I think this would be Eliezer. Says, Amar, be'even mesama tekula alma la pelige de la metamea ki pelige be'masa. Actually, not everyone agrees that the carrying by the suspended stone is okay. Idolatry does not make something tameh by suspended stone. Forget that. It's not like, no one thinks it's like nida to that extent. But they do argue about the carrying tumah. Rabbi Akiva sabar kenida, manida metamea b'masa, afavoda azara betamea b'masa. And this would fit nicely with the words of the Mishnah, because it says here b'masa, avoda azara betumah b'masa. So actually, it's probably the peshat of the Mishnah, that idolatry is like nida for these two items, touching and carrying. Forget the heavy stone. V'Rabbanan sabre kesheretz. Ma sheretz lo metameh b'masa, af avodah zara lo metameh b'masa. They say not by carrying for Rabbanan, only by touching, just like sheretz. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Now, what are they going to do with each other's pesukim? Rabbi Akiva lemai hilcheta itkash lesheretz. So why does the pasuk in Devarim connect it to sheretz according to Rabbi Akiva? For the service items. So that's to teach you that the service items are by touching, but the idol itself is by touching and carrying. Okay, similar to answered before. Rabbanan le'mai hilcheta. What are the rabbis going to do with the other pasuk from Yeshaya? Le'mai hilcheta itkash lenida. Manida ena le'ebarim, af avodah zara ena le'ebarim. That will teach you that just like a nida, severed limbs are not tameh, so too regarding idols, severed limbs are not tameh. All right, good. This is also similar to what we said before. Now, Rabbi Akiva, lemad hilchata itkash lenida, lemasa, uksha lenebela. Now we ask the very same question about nebela we asked before the Rabbanan. Since everything shifted, we ask the same question to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, what's your final conclusion? That it has touching, idolatry is tameh, touching and carrying, but not heavy stones. Well, that's the same as nevela. So instead of comparing it to nida, you should have compared it to nevela, and that would have been much clearer. Wouldn't it have been? In hachiname, you're right. We could have compared it to nevela. Ela manida eno le'ebarin, avodah zara ena le'ebarin. Now he'll use this derasha also. We are comparing it to nida for kula to teach you that it's not for ebarim the limbs are okay. And now, what about that question? Remember, he didn't know whether idolatrous limbs are tameh or not. According to this, in this scenario of Rabbi Eliezer, both Rabbi Akiva and Rabbanan learn from Nida that limbs are excluded. And so now we could have answered the question just fine. Must be that Rab Chama did not agree with Rabbi Eliezer's interpretation, this whole thing, but rather agreed with Rabbah's interpretation, as we said above, and he was asking a question within Rabbah, according to Rabbi Akiva, because otherwise we could have resolved the problem. And so, to summarize that, and this will, with that will end, according to Rabbi Eliezer, for the rabbis, pieces of the wall are tameh by touching only, not by carrying, not by suspended stone, and you don't have to worry about the service items. According to Rabbi Akiva, the items of the wall are tameh by touching and carrying, but not by suspended stone. Everybody agrees, and the service items would be tameh by touching, and in this scenario, everyone agrees that the limbs are okay. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen.